Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a recipe for the absolute cheapest meal you can imagine. Not only is it delicious, it's also very nutritious. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. I love a good budget recipe, and I do a lot of them over here on this channel. I also do a lot of single servings, cooking for one, and we also love a small appliance over here. So if you're into any of that, be sure to hit subscribe. All right, this is one of my go-to meals. It is on rotation all the time in this house because it is filling, it is tasty, it is nutritious, and it is so incredibly cheap. So I'm going to share with you the whole cost breakdown, right, per serving, but also the initial investment you're gonna need to make if you don't have any of these ingredients already. I'm also going to include all the nutrition facts as well. Okay, so we are making a curry rice and lentil bowl, and before you click out of this because you think, oh, I don't like curry, you probably do, you just don't realize it. I think a lot of people, if they don't eat that kind of food very often, they hear curry and they automatically think that it's spicy. Curry in itself is not spicy, like as a spice. It's all the other stuff you add when you're making like a curry that makes it hot. You don't have to have a spicy curry. It's just actually a very fabulous little blend of a lot of spices. And at Walmart, this container, 2 ounces of curry powder, cost $2.08. And here are the reasons we love curry. First of all, it is full of flavor. You don't need a ton of it to really make your food taste great. There is a lot of flavor in a tiny amount, and we love that. The second reason we love curry is that it's actually a blend of a ton of different spices. Let me read to you everything that's in here. We have coriander, turmeric, fenugreek, cumin, black pepper, bay leaves, celery seed, nutmeg, clove, onion, ginger, and red pepper. If you were to buy each of those things individually, you'd spend a fortune. Getting a nice little jar of this that has all those things already in it definitely reduces the amount of stuff you have to buy and the money you have to spend to achieve the flavor. So that is a great reason we love curry. The next ingredient we're gonna talk about is our rice. This rice costs $1.77 for the bag. And some reasons we love rice. First of all, it is one of the cheapest ingredients out there, right? Very, very cost effective. Secondly, it is incredibly versatile. Rice is such a blank slate. If you try this recipe and you don't like it, you can use the rest of your rice for infinite other possibilities. It's a blank slate. It will take on whatever flavor you throw with it, and it can be the base of so many different flavors. Another reason we like rice is that it is shelf stable. It's easy to store. We don't have to refrigerate it or freeze it or any of that stuff, and it stays good for a really long time. Our next ingredient is lentils. These are brown lentils. I find in this recipe, I prefer a brown lentil because it holds its shape. It's more like eating a bean rather than like a red lentil, which is gonna get really mushy. If you want that texture, if you want a nice mushy lentil, you could totally swap this out for red lentils. My preference for this time around are the brown lentils. These lentils cost $1.76. And the reason we love lentils, there's lots of them, but here's my favorite. First of all, the protein content in this is super high compared to the price. Like the amount you're paying per gram of protein is incredibly low, which is great. We definitely want as much protein as we can get for our price. Also, I know this is an important factor to everyone, but to me, I really love that using a plant-based protein has a very low environmental impact compared to like a meat counterpart. Just like the rice, it is also shelf stable, which unlike meat protein, you would have to refrigerate or freeze or cook right away. I love that I can eat this protein whenever I'm ready and it can just sit on my shelf till then. And I also love that it is high in iron, which is important to me. Our last main ingredient is going to be eggs. Now, this carton of 12 eggs was $2.08, and here's some reasons we love eggs. Firstly, they're very accessible. Basically, any grocery store you go to is always going to have eggs. Like my Aldi doesn't always have lentils, but they always have eggs. So it's kind of a nice ingredient to incorporate in because they're everywhere. Nextly, as far as protein goes, eggs are really easy to cook. Unlike chicken, where I'm worried, did it reach 165 degrees, blah, blah, blah. I can cook an egg so easily. I don't burn eggs. I don't have to worry about it. I feel like eggs are a very like user-friendly ingredient as far as cooking goes. And thirdly, and what I think is the most important, is that eating an egg makes me feel satisfied. I find that when I make like recipes using like rice and lentils, there's no fat in there. And personally, I need some in order to feel full and satisfied. So the total price to get all of these ingredients together is going to be $7.69 total. So there's our core ingredients. Let's get going on this recipe. I do want to note that I am cooking this in my rice cooker. If you watch my channel, you know I love my rice cooker. This is Jasmine. We love her. She's also a very budget-friendly appliance. I will leave a link to this one down below if you are interested. However, you do not need a rice cooker. You can make rice and lentils on the stove, on a hot plate, the old-fashioned way, in a pot with water. You don't need to buy anything special, but I'm gonna use my rice cooker. You know I love her. There are 20 servings of rice in this bag. We are using 1. And that is 1/4 of a cup of dry rice, which comes out to 9 cents worth of rice. I am gonna go ahead and wash it before I throw it in the rice cooker. And now for our lentils. Now 1 serving of lentils is technically also 1/4 of a cup. However, I'm gonna do 1/2 cup. And you can mess with these ratios if you would prefer more rice, less lentils. That's fine, it is going to change like the overall nutrition facts of this, but I'm gonna do 1/2 cup of lentils, which comes out to 28 cents worth of lentils. I also just wanna throw out there that just in this little 1/2 cup of lentils has 30% of your daily iron needs, and that's very impressive to me. I am gonna give these a quick rinse as well. Here we go. Now for our curry powder. There is actually 26 teaspoons inside of this container, which is a lot. I'm using 1 whole teaspoon here, which might seem like a lot, but it's gonna be really good, I promise. And that means we put 8 cents worth of curry powder in our pot. Now, if you have broth laying around that you want to use, that will totally enhance the flavor that much more. However, I just use water and it's totally fine. The ratio is 2 to 1 for both rice and lentils. So we're gonna do 2 parts liquid per 1 part grain. So since we did 3/4 of a cup total of our rice and our lentils, we're gonna put 1.5 cups of water inside. Gonna go ahead and give it a little mix. My rice cooker is extremely basic. It has one function: cook. It will heat it to a specific temperature for a certain amount of time, and then it will automatically move over to warm. It usually takes about 20-ish minutes, kind of depending, but it does it all on its own. You don't have to do anything. You can just leave it there until it switches over to warm. All right, the rice cooker just switched over to warm. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm not gonna lie, lentils sometimes can get a little sticky on the bottom. Like I said, this is not a fancy rice cooker. It is what it is. It's not that difficult to clean up, and the sticking isn't that bad today. So I'm just gonna do a little mix. Everything looks good. And now we're gonna add our egg. And this egg was 17 cents. We're just gonna crack it right in there. I'm gonna put the lid back on, and we don't need to do anything else. We don't need to put it back on cook. It can stay right here on warm. And depending on how you like your eggs, I like mine to be pretty runny. It's just gonna like steam in there for a couple of minutes and it's gonna cook, no problem. Maybe 5 minutes. But if you like a firmer egg, you can leave it in there a little bit longer. It's not gonna hurt anything, so we're just gonna leave it there. All right, while our egg is cooking, I'm actually going to run out to the garden and grab some chives. Now, not necessary. It's not gonna add any nutritional anything here. It's just gonna add a little bit of extra flavor. I really wanted to include it though because I wanted to make a case for chives. So, why chives? First of all, growing chives is very easy. It is a perennial, which means you plant it once and it grows forever. My chives actually came from my dad's garden because they are so hardy and grow so well. It's very easy to find them for free. People will split them up and give them out. Take a look on like your Buy Nothing Facebook group page or even the marketplace. It's very easy to get them. My dad gave me a chunk out of his garden 7 years ago. I planted them and I've literally done nothing. I've never fertilized them. I don't water them. They come up like clockwork every spring and they are so easy. Secondly, they are container friendly. So if you don't have a yard, you can grow these in a pot, on your front porch, on your balcony. I love how accessible chives are. Also, they are freezer friendly. I live in Michigan, so my growing season is kind of small. And the second those babies start popping up in the spring, I cut a chunk of them, I cut them up really small, and I freeze them. I'll show you. And I just keep this jar in my freezer of chives, and I can just add these throughout the year. It is an extremely cost-effective thing to grow. So I realize you can't just like go grow them right now to make this meal, but I did just want to add that little tidbit in there because I think if you are a budget cook that really wants to add flavor, the one herb I would grow, chives. All right, our egg is just how I like it. And normally I would just like mix it all up in here, but I want it to look really pretty for the thumbnail for you guys. So I'm actually gonna scoop the egg out first so that we can plate it and it looks pretty, okay? The thumbnail has to look good or you guys won't click on the video. All right, let's throw all of our lentils and rice in here. Okay, there we go. And I am gonna add some salt and pepper, optional, but I guess not really. The salt is not optional. It will be much better with salt. A little bit of pepper. And of course, our delicious fresh chives. Look at that. That is a lot of food, okay? That is a tasty belly filler right there. All right, you guys, if you were adding up all of those cents, this meal cost only 62 cents for this whole huge serving. If you were to make this exact dish again and again, you could do it 12 times with the amount of eggs that we bought. You could do it 26 times with the amount of curry that we bought. You could do it 20 times with the amount of rice that we purchased. And you could also do it 6.5 times with the amount of lentils that we have. And now for the nutrition breakdown, because I know you're curious, for this entire meal, it's going to be 455 calories, 27 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and 5 grams of fat, which I think is so impressive nutritionally for the fact that it cost 62 cents. Also, if you have higher nutritional needs, you can add more than one egg as well. This is perfect for me, so let's eat it. I just love a nice runny yolk. It's so good. It's so simple and yet so delicious. We're dealing with so many great textures too. Like the rice is, you know, nice and soft. The lentils, they have like kept a bit of their structure. So there's a bit of, I wouldn't say crunch, but a bit of snap in there that's really tasty, more like a bean. The egg is super creamy. We've got that nice freshness on the top with the herbs. This is not lacking anything for me. And that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you found this useful. Of course, you can swap out any of these ingredients for your own preferences. If you have a huge spice, you know, selection to choose from and you want to experiment with different flavor profiles, you should totally go for it. Lentils and rice are such a great base for so many flavors. So I hope you do a little bit of experimenting on this incredibly cheap and healthy meal. Of course, come on back for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!